Our first challenge of the internet to religions is simply data collection. The internet now gathers data unbeknown to us based on searches with amazing ramifications. Let's look at the result of traditional data gathering by Pew Research, and they're the world's largest religious surveyor, surveying up to 35,000 at a time. And if we search on this here, we'll come up with some sites, and right at the top there we have Pew. So let's click on that, and here's their report, nicely laid out for us. Should society accept homosexuality? They asked the world this in 2013, and if we have a look at the Middle East, apart from Israel, there's a very low. Turkey, for example, 78% say no, etc. down here, and further down in Africa, we've got Kenya, 90% say no, Nigeria, 1% say yes. That's it. Another way to look at this is the map, global acceptance of homosexuality, again on the Pew site, and if we have a look, as we'd expect, in the Middle East, North Africa region, generally a very low percentage. Now we'll jump over to Google Trends, and Google Trends doesn't ask people questions, it collects data based on searches, and it displays them to us in map form over a period of time. If we just simply start with this word, and let's just see what it happens. We type that in, it goes searching on their immense database, and it comes up with a map showing us that, wow, okay, Kenya and Nigeria, who we saw had some of the lowest rates. Kenya, only 1% said yes, they approved it. Kenya 8%, Nigeria 1%. But they seem to search on the word homosexuals a lot. Now that's a pretty tame term, so let's, with excusing these words to the public, but let's type them in, and a more sort of oriented homosexual search term, and we're starting to drag in, well, Somalia, Tanzania, Kenya again at the top here. So let's really go for something not nice, but this is a sort of a classic homosexual search term, and Google Trends will come back to us, and whoa, at the top of the list we have Yemen, a decidedly Muslim majority nation, followed by Pakistan. Sri Lanka has a fair percentage, but it's actually a lot of Buddhists there too. Iraq, Bangladesh and Jordan are highly Muslim oriented. Actually, the map will also show us the cities, the chief cities where searches occur from, and top of the list is Lahore, Pakistan. Second is Istanbul, and Ankara is down there, as well as New Delhi, which is both Muslim and Hindu, so we can't make anything of that, but that's very interesting to see. So, wow, have we got a problem here? You might ask how such a variance can occur. But actually, that's not the first question. Long before you can ask that, you have to wade through a swamp full of objections. Like, first of all, how dare Google track such data? And can they even be trusted? Well, I'll leave you to research the accuracy of Google Trends for yourself. Or did they gain the permission of people, like Pew must do, before they record a response? Well, we know the answer to that one already. Of course they don't. They just track searches. And unfortunately, if that is the case, such findings might not be legally permissible because permission was not obtained. The jury would be ordered to strike that from their deliberations. There even could be some livelihoods at stake here. I mean, how many highly trained researchers might lose their job if this sort of thing gains ground? We've got one more concept to uncover here, and it is the observer effect. And if we go over to the definition of the observer effect, just by typing that in, it refers to changes that the act of observation will make on a phenomenon being observed. And I want to come back to the Pew method of research, which is to ask questions. If you were asked that question, you're standing in Yemen surrounded by people or within hearing distance, and someone asks whether you support homosexuality in your country, You probably don't want anyone to hear you say yes, no matter what your internal thoughts are. And nevertheless, this was the only way of finding answers on a widespread scale prior to the internet and the way it gathers data. So if you criticise Google Trends, you've also got to reflect on the way that traditional research might be flawed too. And now we have this way. This is a fact. This is reality. This is not going to go away. We're at the start of this. And who knows how this type of data gathering and output will affect religious perspectives around the world as people get used to these tools. And by the way, this challenge goes way, way further than just homosexuality.